Welcome back to the Mr. Gloat podcast for the first week of August. We are coming to you viewers live in a huge, horrific moment for the month of August. This month is going to be better, a lot more exciting than last year ago, because last year ago in 2025, we only had just barely a few title fights in the world of boxing. And a lot of them were female boxers, and they were mostly in the super flyweight. From former champion Yasmin Artiga to Mizuki Hiruda. One of the male fights was a WBA belt, but I don't know much about it. And I did say the month of August was awarded to Mizuki Hiruda for her great performance against the 9-0 fighter she took on of Naomi Cardenas. But now this month of August, we now have more fights and we have more Jake Paul. Unfortunately, the problem with women's boxing, another nail in the coffin has ended for another Japanese woman in boxing, and her name is, and it upsets me. It upsets me so much. And I'm going to make another video about this month, but at this moment, I got to make a statement out of it. Yes, I'm doing it for money. I'm trying to do YouTube for money and make all content, but also try to prove a point out there that the red light district of professional boxing is still happening. The problem is people online don't talk about this because the atomweight division and Japanese women in boxing and this stuff is being out of the radar, except me. And I want to point out to it now before it gets worse, because I feel like it's just getting worse by the minute. So, live on July the 31st, which was yesterday ago, live in Auckland in the Eventfinda Stadium in New Zealand, live by OZ Jabeur Promotion, known as BX9, Emma Nesbitt, a New Zealand boxer in her home country fighting, scores a close 10-round split decision against undefeated 6-0 Japanese female Madoka Wada for the WBA World Title Eliminator. Unfortunately, the fight ended by split decision. Still trying to wait for scorecards and update on scorecards. But what we do know that shows on BoxRec, the BoxRec stated that fan vote stated that the score is 98-92 for Madoka Wada. And majority of the fans believe that rounds 1, 7, and 8 were easy rounds win for Madoka, for round 3 and round 10 being Nesbitt. And unfortunately, some rounds were close enough to being 5-on-point rounds, meaning Madoka would have won the fight. Unfortunately, the controversy got worse because on BoxRec, it also says here, quote, Madoka Wada, was deducted a point in round 10 for a low blow. At that moment, watching this, something is rotten in Denmark. It's ridiculous. And I'm going to make another video about this and another video for multiple Japanese females into the boxing world, because it's a story that I think everyone should listen to. And I want to be respectful, but if I have to be in the misogynist land, then I have to. And to be honest, I didn't know what the word misogynist meant until several months ago, just this year. And I didn't know that was my attitude and my time. But if I have to, just to get the attention, not for money, but for the attention, for the respect, and to give these Japanese women a chance to not be robbed. Because since the start of April the 5th, 2025, when Tina Rupert defeated Samira Yamanaka, which was due to that being an undisputed atomweight championship, and the fight got controversial, but forgotten because it was on national television as much, and even forgotten for reasons that viewers cannot find for the footage. But if people did saw the full fight, you could realize that in the 9th round of the fight, Samira Yamanaka scores out a perfect good left-out punch, bringing Tina Rupert down to the canvas. Referee still calls this slip. We don't know why. And they went on to the rest of the fight like nothing ever happened. And the fight ended with one judge giving it a wide 99-91. One of them gave it 95 even, and the other was a 96-95, which one of those were round 7 or round 8. I don't know. But yeah, those two judges that favored the points were won by Tina. So, and since then, other Japanese women in the atomweight and other boxing into the other weight classes have been in a failure. And the only thing they have in common is that those world title fights that those Japanese women have fought in were in other people's backyards, whether it's from Mexico, the Australian territory, or anywhere else from Europe. And it does suffer as a result for these Japanese women coming back to their country empty-handed. And no matter how close they are, it's a killer. So, and it's controversial for its all wrong reason, because Emma Nesbitt is now ranked number 3 in the atomweight. Madoka is ranked number 9 in the minimum weight. And it's like, it doesn't make sense. Like, this 31-year-old Japanese woman from South Paul takes on an orthodox 21-year-old fighter named Little Miss. And just to let you know, her first professional loss happened in her rookie debut in June of 2023 against a 2-3 woman, which is not good to have those fights be a waste. And she already scored a split decision draw in 8 rounds in her last fight out of the country last March against a 4-0 fighter named Arata Honda, which took place in the country of Fiji. So Emma Nesbitt, this is unacceptable to see that incompetence, and then this Japanese woman loses the fight. I just can't recollect on that. And again, I'm going to record more videos just this recently, just to bring out the attention, because I think everyone has to know about this, even if I have to make another title just to upset some viewers, because this information has to be pointed out sooner than later. And not just for a reason, because if there's reasons why I'm getting a lot of horrible comments that people just think my content's boring, if you don't like my boxing videos, then why are you even here commenting? If you like boxing, why are people not showing up? I've been talking out to the YouTube algorithm, and of course, no one has been contacting me ever since. So I have to make this point out clear just to send this out to the public. And by the way, the recent comments I've been getting just recently, like last July, I made a video titled "Why I Love Talking About Boxing," and one comment came out, and the person's name is Scully TX9672, and he said, "You better stop saying mean things about me and help me, or else you're gonna make more death threats to people for not liking you." I don't understand what that person's talking about. I don't understand what that person's talking about. Here's one: Tyson Fury versus Marius Watch. Get a real job, Jason. YouTube fame isn't for you. Yeah. I really don't know why people I don't understand. I don't understand. I really don't understand, because don't get me wrong, Jim Norton and Sam Roberts, both guys that used to work for Sirius XM and both friends, and they used to be friends and collaborative with Opie and Anthony, which were also controversial dudes as well. They've gotten controversy as well. So this is just a normal thing. But no, if I get a real job, it's not going to help me make it through. If I got to get the heck out of the state of Maine, then you got another thing coming. If people aren't going to help me and they start making those horrible threats like that, why should I even stop doing something if God's not good? Because I did told God to promise me to get me to where I am. I don't know why God's not is holding me back, but again, we just have to wait for it, because I've read the Bible, I've read stuff and everything else, and I have been trying to be supportive of this whole thing. So we're just gonna have to wait until the end of this year is over. I did tell God that you better help me out here, because I did said that even though I was going to quit YouTube in 2027 for one reason. And that one reason is that I want to make it through 1 decade of YouTube, from 2017 when I started my YouTube account to 2027. Thinking that even though the Beatles, they only lasted a decade, the NFL used to have a rival with the AFL before they merged together and made the Super Bowl, and the AFL lasted for a decade. So, and that's the reason. So I just don't know why people are not giving me credit. And I've also been and The other thing is, why are people thinking I'm making death threats? And again, I gotta make comments about this. Just to contact this person named Skull by TX9672. I think this guy's suffering, so I'm gonna have to tell him if you would better be on a Zoom call, because we can start getting an interview about this. Hey, how about we do a Zoom call? Oh, come on, Z. I gotta get a new keyboard for my laptop here because this one's broken. I can't get the letter Z out. A Zoom call to interview you so you can understand my past. I actually want to get to know this person and just to get to understand the friendship, because if there's reasons why people make this, I am not a chicken to do this. I've actually been trying to get through a Zoom call with Counterpunch Boxing just to have information to understand his career and such, and know if he ever had any problems in his past. Because people have to understand, I don't know how to help my dad. Before my dad passed away, here's the thing. I could never take care of my father. I was living in a house. I was struggling. I didn't know how to take care of my father, and no one even cared to help. My brother used to have a psychotic break when we used to call the police to get him out, and they didn't help. The Auburn police are a bunch of nigger lovers. They just don't care about it. So I can't trust those people. And when you have the internet that didn't even cared about the help, or even a person that used to be in the Lewiston Baptist Church that didn't care, no, you just can't do that. So I have to defend myself, fighting for my life when people do hold me back. I've already said before, I've already read out the Bible and read out stuff from the Lord of Jesus Christ here, understanding the testaments and understanding. Again, I did say this, I promised to try to make through. If I ever had an interesting YouTube career or a great amount of YouTube views and subscribers and collaborative reasons, I did tell God, listen, God, if I want to make it to college, you better get me to a situation. The reason I failed college in 3 different universities is that God didn't give me the gift of giving me a community, and that's why I failed college, because he didn't care about me. So I just have to start fighting for my life here. So I hope we can find something here, because the threats that people are giving do not understand that I could not help my dad. I can't help my dad. I'm a grown person. I've never been taught to take care of old people. And there's people out there that are struggling to this day that have to understand that people are in dire needs of help. So you take on the police, someone's going to put a gun and put a cap in your ass, and you might die because you didn't care about helping that person, but taking them to prison, and then when they get out, you're the one responsible. I just wish people can understand what I'm talking about, because if people are going to keep saying horrible things and not take collaborative, and if YouTube, because I've also been fighting for my life to ask people in the comments to please delete those videos about my career, my past. I've been talking to the YouTube algorithm, and I've also called out the Business Bureau and other stuff on phone last week ago, and no information has popped out ever since. So I'm fighting for my life here, and it just goes to show you that the world will always be a mess when people cannot help you. No, not one bit. And it's not going to stop me from trying to have a collaborative effort from other YouTubers just to be around with. But again, we're going to have to wait and see. But anyway, with all that being said, let's get down to business. Let's get down to talking about the world of professional boxing. Today, we got interesting news going outside into the boxing world. But before we get to that, we have to sign off on a huge sad note today. 8-time PBA winner, PBBA professional bowling winner, titleist Jacob Buttriff has unfortunately passed away at the age of 32. Jacob Buttriff, due to unnatural causes, we don't know what happened to him. The information states that Jacob Buttriff was a great man, a great person, stated that at the age of 32, he died from a sudden heart attack just yesterday ago in his town of Tempe, Arizona. Jacob Buttriff was an 8-time PBBA tour titleist, a one-time major, a 27-time PBA regional title. He scored 19 300 games in his career, and one of them was on live TV. His career was in a sufferable situation because he was actually struggling to win titles. Unfortunately, ever since his mother passed away back in November of 2020, he was trying to promise to win a major title for his mother, considering he won the USBC Masters in 2019, which is his only tour title. Unfortunately, he suffered 2 second-place finishes in 2021 against Tom Dodry and Chris Vi in the World Champion and the U.S. Open. Also the same day where Anthony Newer scored the 7-10 split in that semi-match where Buttrick defeated him easily. But in 2023, he managed to win the PBBA Scorpion Championship on April the 18th against EJ Tackett. He stated it was the most emotional win for his career, considering it was following his mother's passing. He competed in the Players' Championship, made it through the finals, but got out-dominated 3-0 in a best-out-of-5 against the third-generation family member of the McCune family, and that's Kevin McCune. It took him a while. He managed to come out in 2025, failed to win the Tour Champion, where he took on Jesper Svensson, and he failed another major. So, yeah, by 2026, he still managed to get some match play into his career, but he just couldn't get nothing done. So, it is what it is. He, even though he never won a major, I don't think it ever suffered his career to say that even though he would have had, at the age of 32, he would have maybe had a chance for winning a couple more titles into his career. He would have. But I think the problem about this is that when you're looking at this from a perspective, at 32 years old, it is sufferable to witness a friend that you've been around with for a long time, and you just don't want to see that happen. Because there's a lot of information out there that the PBA has been suffering TV ratings, and there's also viewers out there and even people online believing that the PBA is dying. Again, I really can't point that out to compensation here, because there's people out there that have thrown in a lot of books to throw in the old hickory. The problem is there is nothing you could say that can make you change your mind. Like, it is what it is, but again, we can't really point that out as much. Like, it is the way life goes. Speaking about the PBA, both it and the PWBA are already performing the qualification as we speak for the PBBA and the PWBA Storm striking against breast cancer mixed doubles for AKA the Lucy. Will be live on Bowl TV tomorrow. So unfortunately, there's still no video footages of people even putting real full live footages of the tournament. They're still doing qualifications for the mixed doubles. So if EJ Tackett does come out of nowhere and wins, that would be surprising. All I can say is it's going to be determined for competition. They're only including bonus pins and cash out rounds for round robins for match plays. There's going to be no step ladder, as they always do. The competition is mostly for high score, combined score for pin count, for pinfalls. EJ Tackett is pretty good when it comes to this event. So if he actually wins this, depending on what person he picks, doesn't matter who it is, he might be player of the year. And that might happen. If he doesn't win this tournament, or if he's not in it, who knows? The Storm Lucky Larson Masters will also be live on Heisenberg, Sweden. They're going to do one in 3 weeks on the 21st of August. The final match will be on August the 31st. With all that being said, the breast cancer awareness mixed doubles is going to happen tomorrow. So whoever wins that, well, we don't know who will be in the spot. August the 31st, we are going to have the last tournament. So the month of August will come down to the wire as we speak. So we better watch out for that as time goes on. As for the PWBA, the entire tournament, it's just going to be the same thing as they always done for a few years. It's just a waste of time. Not a lot of stuff is happening. After this tournament's over, they're going to have to go back. Like their last tournament happened when Julian Martin defeated Sin Lee Jane from Malaysia. She failed to win in a final roll-off in the finals, which was close competition. But of course, after this tournament is over in Houston, Texas, they're going to go to Parma Heights, Ohio on August the 12th. August the 13th will be the PWBA Tour Championship Week, known as the PWBA Pepsi Open. And then 2 days later, they're going to do the tournament known as the PWBA Cleveland Open. And then in 3 days, on the 18th of August, which will be on CBS Sports, the Tour Champion will happen, where they'll have the invitational event for a 24-player starting field, including all 2026 titleists, PWBA members only, and plus highest points earnings among non-winners, with top prizes of $30,000, which is a lousy amount considering $60,000 for the USBC Queens and US Women's Open. So I really can't say that's going to be promising. But again, if we can say to ourselves that there's something here that we can talk about, there's still opportunities that something could happen, because as of right now, after 8 of these tournaments have already happened and the mixed doubles is happening tomorrow, make that number 9 with 3 more tournaments left, all 7 females have all been each winners. A lot of them from the USA, a couple of them from Singapore, one from Malaysia. So it's going to be a doozy to understand what's going to happen, because all I can say is for the next 2 weeks, on the second week of this month, it's going to be really, really decent to talk about, because again, these remaining tournaments like the Cleveland and the Pepsi Open, they're just going to be on Bowl TV. So at this moment, is it possible that bowling is dying? Yeah, it's possible, but I can't say that for certain. So with all that being said, let's get down to business and talk about what we've been seeing behind the scenes for the world of professional boxing. Let me get to my phone here so we can understand the information. So as of right now, the information will be followed differently every single week. So in the next few days, I'm going to review the Felix Trinidad versus William Joppy fight for the middleweight tournament. I talked about the Bernard Hawkins versus Keith Holmes, which was a fight that I didn't want to review very much, so that's going to be for next time. But after that is over, we do have interesting information here. So information, one video, Counterpunch Boxing pointed out that Tyson Fury is going to take on Ajit Caballel. Yesterday ago, Marius Watch compared Tyson Fury and Moses Atama after he both fought them, because Atama defeated him a couple years ago. Fury defeated him last week. And even though it doesn't make him a good fighter, he does point out some interesting similarities of both of these fighters. And as a veteran fighter like Marius, he does have some moments that should take some stuff to talk about, because he was already in his mid 40s and both of these two took care of him easily. So he does believe that because Itama is a fresh fighter and he is in a new generation, and with Usyk, who vacated all of his belts, is in a very likely way that he will soon see Itama be champion. He also stated that in a new generation of heavyweights, there is a different style like Usyk. You cannot just be a big heavyweight to make a good fight. With Itama fighting this month in August the 29th, we are going to find out where we're going to see where the time comes. We also have opportunities here that, with everyone talking about this, as of today, Earl Spence Jr. has already been stated by Roy Jones Jr. believes that he should be retiring after backing him to beat Tim Tsuzu. But to be honest, Tim Tsuzu defeated him. Shakur Stevenson states that he really wants to fight against a world championship with 70% KO ratio. Barry McGuigan predicts that Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn will be in a situation, while having Devin Haney setting for a new fight plan as Keyshawn Davis pulls out of a mandatory title shot. But most importantly, it's going to be a really interesting idea, because when you look at it from this perspective, we have to understand that there's opportunities here that something could go awry. But the thing is, I really can't say for certain. So with all that being said, it's going to be a doozy. It's going to be a doozy to find out what's going on while the time comes. So we're going to have to wait and see. So with more layoffs in boxing, new ideas, other controversies coming. Oh boy. So Jake Paul names his opponent for MMA debut as he confirms first fight as well as boxing comeback. Okay, so what do we got here, Jake Paul? Who are you going to fight? Huh. Okay, so for 2027, among the many pieces of information, Jake Paul has announced that he will be alongside of John Martin and Nakisa Bidarian. Was the news that he will be fighting in 2027. With all this being said, this might not end well. Jake Paul has already pointed out so much ridiculousness, I really can't understand what's going on. Like, it's funny to say to yourself that this makes absolutely no sense. All I can say is it's going to be interesting to try to find out the ridiculousness. This is not good. So we got news live on KO Unsi for Sports Illustration. James Hickens, live from Sports Illustration, pointed out as he made a statement here on July the 31st. With Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua offered a title shot to become heavyweight champion again, for one of them becoming a 3-time champion. The article just states here, which is a small one, states, Fury and Joshua have both been offered an unlikely shot at becoming a 3-time heavyweight champion, as the details of their upcoming fight struggle to be finalized. We have just seen both men have their prescribed warm-up fights before they enter the ring to decide who the best British heavyweight of this generation is in the fall, depending if they are going to have the fight, if Anthony Joshua is still in the right state of mind after what happened last week ago, and Fury had no problems taking on a past prime nobody. Well, a somebody, I would say. But with everything going on here and with all the overwhelmed stuff going on, they do believe that Joshua still might win the fight as a new and improved team courtesy to Alexander Usyk. I don't think Joshua was thinking that Kristen Pango was going to be a threat, even though he's a utter knockout artist. Unfortunately, it kind of suffers as a result. With the last chance for a world title fight with open season has begun in the heavyweight division, with Usyk vacating all his titles and the sanctioning bodies have been deciding what to do. With all the top 10 contenders have been vying for their shot at the newly released belts, they've pointed out that the current beneficiaries of this are Ajit Caballel, who has elevated from interim status to WBC champion, while Murat Gassiev, who has held the WBA regular title and is now their super champion. Gassiev only recently defended his title against Peter Kadiru, winning by via stoppage quickly just last month ago, in July. And with both Joshua and Fury happily having a away fight in their home of England, they're two of the greatest fighters that great people and good guys that can fight have been told that they're in respects of both guys that they could fight them in England. Then they would say yes, because I have never been before. Technically, with all this being said, the rest of the information here doesn't really mean nothing. With the entirety of this winning situation here, it is going to be interesting, because what I find interesting about this is that we better start finding newy ideas here, because I do believe that there might be something here that we better cover up before it gets worse. Okay, is there any information? Okay, what's the information on Alexander Usyk? We better find information for him quickly. So Alexander Usyk still promising a title fight from Deontay Wilder, and okay, so on July the 26th, just this month, Alexander Usyk confirms he will retire after next fight. I doubt it. Considering relinquishing all titles in May. Yep, he took veteran boxer. May, blah, blah, blah. Achieve Olympic gold medal. He did that. Fellow veteran Deontay Wilder is thought to be the front runner for Ukrainian's last dance partner. I actually have talked about this. Okay, so no new information for that. Okay, what about Deontay Wilder? Do we have anything on Deontay Wilder here? Let me find information about this. Let me find out here. So Deontay Wilder, July the 7th, nothing interesting for Deontay Wilder. So that right there says a lot. Okay, so no new information here. So yeah, like I said before, Daniel Dubois, WBO, WBA Murat Gassiev, and Ajit Caballel, WBC champion. Gassiev, I meant to say WBA. The IBF heavyweight champion is still on a vacancy here, as Frank Sanchez is still ranked number 1, surprisingly, with Moses Atama at number 3 and Filip Hrgovic number 4. So that should be an interesting thing to look at. I could say that Frank Sanchez might defeat both of them. I could see Frank Sanchez taking on Phil Pergovich, winning the fight easily. Moses Zatama could be a close 12-round fight, and I could say for certain it might be an interesting close fight. And maybe Sanchez might win. But who knows? So the WBA have already put out their new rankings. The WBA on August the 1st, just to this day, nothing's happened. August the 1st, WBA rankings on the heavyweight haven't changed one bit. The only thing that's changed is that Tony Yoka, the 2016 gold medalist in the super heavyweight Olympic Games, has he's out of the spotlight, and he's been taken over. He was dropped out from number 14, and now the number 14th ranked fighter is a guy that goes by the name of Kingsley Abe. So I really can't say much about that. Like it's there might be something here we can look at. What about the cruiserweight division? What do we have for the cruiserweight? Okay, this is going to be ridiculous. So, well, this is terrible. So, Jayo Pataya is still ranked number 1. Gadjima Gomedov, former Bridgerweight champion, is number 5. Still, Ramirez Zerdo is 6. Other fighters here ranked still there. Robin Saffer, 20-0 from Sweden, just went up one spot to number 13. And Mitsuro Brandon Tajima, Japanese boxer, is actually number 14. He just got ranked this month. What is Mitsuro Brandon Tajima doing in the cruiserweight? I'm curious to find out. Well, I do know because I heard that Brandon Tajima just lost over hundreds of pounds, which I'll be honest, that's pretty good for where he is. Nothing in the cruiserweight. Okay. I'm sure Brandon Tajima is still around here somewhere. If I can find rankings on the heavyweight. Oh, wait, it's female boxing. Idiot. Me. 0 Japanese boxers in the heavyweight are not undefeated. Unbelievable. And there's even a Chinese boxer that won a tournament in Japan, already lost his first pro fight against someone with a great record, and he couldn't do squat in Japan. What a death for Japanese boxers. That's just such unbearable. So Mitsuro Brandon Tajima won the Oriental Pacific Boxing Federation Cruiserweight just this month in July the 11th by a round 5 KO victory in round 5. He against a guy with 11-6-1 record, so can't say much about that. And he's ranked number 101 in the cruiserweight, but if anyone thinks that he's going to get a title shot, it better not be from David Benavidez, and it better be vacant if they think they're going to give him an opportunity. And if it's going to happen in Japan, like Mitsuro Brandon Tajima, does he have what it takes to take on any of these top 14 guys in the boxing world? No way. I just find this ridiculous for all the wrong reasons. I just can't say for certain. This is just ridiculous. Okay, let's talk about one more thing before I end this episode, because I am going to record the Felix Trinidad and William Joppy fight soon. Do we have any new information for minimum weight boxing? This will be my last information before I end this video, before I talk about the Trinidad thing. Oscar Collazo, what do you have for us today? Oscar Collazo, new information is not being released to the public yet. Okay, that's not good. Well, okay, what about IBF champion Pedro Tadrin? He might have information on him. Again, nope, nothing has been released in the month of July. Just nothing interesting. What about WBC South African boxer? What do we have to say about him? The young South African that defeated Melvin Jerusalem in a rematch in their second fight. Should be interesting to look at. Like, we better get some information to these fights right now, sooner than later, because there has to be something here we can find out, understand the obligation of knowing, because there might be something here to talk about. But with all due respect, there might be something here. So, let me see. Unfortunately, my computer is not responding to me, which means I might have to end this video right now because nothing has been popped up. Oh, there we go. Nope, no information, even though, again, a month and a half ago, they've already pointed out that they want to set up a fight. Again, like I said before, in the middle of June, they did said that, with all due to respect, they do believe that Oscar Collazo is setting sights on unification bout with Hughes or Tadrin. But again, we don't know about that for certain because all of this is just becoming a little bit of a surprising fortitude of ridiculousness. Like, I don't know what to say about this because, like, all of these fights should take place. Like, here's something interesting. They do state that the potential fight for Oscar Collazo versus Hughes could happen in the spring of 2027. The problem is, Oscar Collazo says he wants to go up to weight class, and he might surpass the light flyweight because he's boxed in the flyweight. And again, Oscar Collazo's recent victories against Haro in March, which was not supposed to be the fighter he was supposed to fight against, Valdez in June, I can't really say for certain. This is turning into a disastrous, a huge disaster. I do not want to see any of this potentiality here. So they do believe a fight could happen with him and Tadrin in potentially in late 2026. And the Hughes fight could happen in the spring. I don't know. I really don't know. Like, they're having potential fights with him and Sandoval and having him take on Joey Canoy, which, again, there's no point. He's not champion. Yeah, I just don't know. It seems like no one cares about this undisputed minimum weight title fight. Like, I just don't know. Like, all I could say is my final thoughts about this before ending this episode here. Technically, with all this being said, I think, in my opinion, there's going to be a lot of maybe something could happen, but again, I really don't know. I really don't know. Maybe if something could... if any of these potential fights could happen, then something could happen. Like, what about Tadrin? Like, Tadrin should have a potential fight. Again, with Shigeoka. These Shigeokas. Oh, gosh. Oh, boy. Okay, I just don't see nothing happening here this month. It's just ridiculous. To be honest, all I can say is this is just the beginning of just ridiculousness here. Okay, so for this month, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen this month? I'm surprised that there's some interesting moments here, but again, there's nothing interesting. But we're going to have to wait and see when that happens. We'll be right back next time for another episode. We're going to have to wait and see because with all this being said, I'm already paying attention